Hello everyone. Today we are going to know what the shader code is and how to write our first shader. Let's start. First of all, before writing a new shader, we need to understand the structure of the shader. This picture shows a lately built standard surface shader that comes with Unity. How to do that? We can right-click in the project window, select Create Shader, and then select any kind of shader. My choice here is the unlit shader. You can also see that there are many other options, and these different shaders can create different effects. After creating it, double-click and open it. Then we can see its code. The code looks a bit verbose, and it doesn't look like the familiar C script. But it doesn't matter. I will disassemble it step by step and explain the role of each part. First of all, in the first line, the shader with the initial capital letter is the keyword of the file, which means that the file is a shader. We can also understand it as the keyword class that we would always use in ordinary programming. Then we can see that there is a string behind the word shader. It represents the path and name of the shader, which is similar to the class name. Before the slash is the name of the catalog to which the shader belongs. Generally speaking, we will put our own shader in the custom catalog. After the string, there is a familiar pair of brackets. Inside the brackets, there is the content of the shader. There are two parts in brackets, properties and subshaders. Properties are similar to the place where we declare some variables in the class. We can see and modify these properties in the Shaders Inspector window. Here, we need to declare some variables to control the rendering effect of the shader by modifying the values of these variables. There is already a sentence here. What's its structure? First, here is a string consisting of an underscore in the word main text. This is the name of the attribute, but it is not the name displayed in the inspector window, but the name of the attribute to be used in the subshader below. In the subshader, we will see such a statement where the variable name needs to be consistent with the variable name defined in the previous properties, which is an underscore in the word main text. Subshader needs to use this name to get the data of this attribute. There is a pair of brackets after the attribute name, and there are two data in this pair of brackets. The former is a string, and the latter is a variable type. The string here is the name displayed in the inspector window, just like this picture shows. The latter, 2D, represents the type of variable, which means a texture map. It corresponds to sample 2D in subshader. So what are the common types of keywords like 2D? The Unity official manual gives us 5 examples, namely color, vector, float, 2D and cube, and their respective variable names in the subshader. It should be noted that the type of color is fixed for. Usually we use float type floating point numbers when writing C scripts in Unity, and many people are not familiar with the fixed type. Here I will briefly explain what the fixed type is and why we use fixed for instead of float for. To represent color, most of the data processed by the computer have a decimal point. And the decimal point can be expressed in 2 ways in the computer. A decimal point of a predetermined value is fixed at a certain position, which is called fixed point notation, or fixed point for short. Corresponding to another method, the decimal point can float arbitrarily, which is called floating point notation, or floating point for short. Therefore, floating point numbers have a higher precision value than fixed point numbers. Although the calculation results of fixed point numbers are not accurate, its calculation speed is much faster than floating point numbers. For the data we usually calculate in our programming, their number is not large, and the accuracy of the result should be relatively high. So we generally use floating point numbers. However, when a large number of calculations need to be done quickly, such as color, but the requirements for its single pixel calculation result are not high, fixed point numbers are more useful than floating point numbers. Back to shader and the statement. After the equal sign, there is the default value of this property. Here is that when the object has no texture, it turns to be white by default. Remember that there is a pair of braces afterward and there is no semicolon at the end of this statement. Statements defined in properties do not require semicolons. The second part is a subshader. A shader can contain multiple subshaders. As subshader, we can imagine it as a graphics card. If the current device supports the content in this subheader, then Unity will execute this subshader. Otherwise, it will look back until it finds a suitable one. If there is no suitable one, it will not be able to display it normally. What should we do in this situation? Usually, we will add such a statement at the end of the shader, fallback diffuse. Its function is that when Unity does not find a qualified subshader, the shader will return this shader named diffuse. Diffuse is one of the most basic shaders and basically all Unity supports it. Next, let's take a look at the contents of the subshader. Similarly, we can also add multiple passes in the subshader, that is, add multiple rendering passes. However, the more passes, the more consumption it generates. In pass, we can see that the first statement is program and the last statement is endcg. Interestingly, it looks like CG has wrapped up everything else in pass, starting with CG and ending with CG. This is also the function of these two sentences, embedding the CG code segment into Unity. So, what is CG? CG is developed by NVIDIA in cooperation with Microsoft. It aims to provide developers with a convenient, cross-platform, good compatibility, high-level language for controlling programmable graphics hardware. The grammatical structure of the CG language is very similar to that of the C language. Therefore, Unity specifically declares two keywords program and endcg in the shader lab grammar. So, what is CG? CG is developed by NVIDIA in cooperation with Microsoft. It aims to provide developers with a convenient, cross-platform, good compatibility, high-level language for controlling programmable graphics hardware. The grammatical structure of the CG language is very similar to that of the C language. Therefore, Unity specifically declares two keywords program and endcg in the shader lab grammar to encapsulate the CG program. Its purpose is to allow us who write codes to learn to write shades faster and use more concise code to implement functions. The code between program and endcg is the code of the programmable rendering pipeline. Next, let me explain these short code sentence by sentence. First of all, the first statement is a #2 plus pragma, which is a keyword. The following vertex is also a keyword, which means fixed point. The last vert is the name of the function we will use later. The meaning of this statement is to specify the function name vert as the function of the vertex shader. In other words, in the vertex shader stage, Unity will execute the vert function. The name of the function can be whatever you want, but it must be the same. Similarly, the second sentence is to specify the function named fragment as the function of the fragment shader. At this stage of the fragment shader, the frag function will be executed. The third sentence refers to the UntiCG library file, which contains some functions already written by Unity. There are two structures below, appdata and v2f, which are the input variable types of the vertex shader function and the fraction shader function. The variable definition statement here is somewhat different from the common C language or C language. For these two structures, we can see that their variable definitions are similar. In appdata, there is a fixed point variable definition and a UV variable definition. Where are these two data from? This is what the CPU loads from the model file and passes it through mesh render. Clicking on a certain model, we can all see such a component as mesh render. We can set the material of this model here. The data displayed in appdata is passed to us by mesh render and these two sentences. The first distance explains its structure. The leftmost float4 refers to the data type of the entire variable. The last word position is the semantics of this variable, which is also the grammar of CG. If we want to obtain other data for this model, what semantics should we use? Here we can take a look at the official Unity manual. The vertex in the middle is the variable name. The name of the variable is not important. As long as there is semantics of position and the data type of float4, no matter what the name is, it represents the meaning of fixed point. When mesh render passes the value, it passes the fixed point data to the variable vertex. It is important to note that the variable definition here has a semicolon at the end of the sentence and the above properties don't have. Below are two functions. In the vertex shader function, the input is app_data_type data and the output is v2 of type data. While in the fragment shader function, the input is v2 of type data and the output is fixed4 type data. Why is it fixed4? Because the type of the texture variable is fixed4. In this function, after obtaining the position of the vertex, it uses such a function. It is directly passed to the fragment shader function. What is the effect of such a function? I once said a word in the first video called MVP, that is, through 3 matrix transformations, a 3D object could be displayed on a 2D screen. The function here is to convert the coordinates of the game object into coordinates relative to the camera. After all the variables are processed, the data of this v2 of type will be returned. This data will enter the fragment shader below and be processed. The general flow of the rendering pipeline, I briefly talked about it in the last video. First is the vertex shader, then the rasterization, and finally the fragment shader. But since we can't control this stage of rasterization, I omitted it from the flowchart on the first video. Here I want to explain it in particular. Back to the shader. This v2 of data reaches the fragment shader after rasterization. The text2D function can obtain the pixel value in this texture according to the UV coordinates and then return. After entering the next stage, the texture finally appears on the screen. Let's take a look at the final effect of this shader. The models have been given a texture and they are successfully displayed. So, let's make a small change to this shader and let it change according to the F coordinates. The only thing we need to do is to change a sentence in the fragment shader. Here to explain, in the shader, RGBA and XYZW are the same. And even if UV is a float2 here, the data of the first two channels can be read with RG. Back to Unity, let's take a look at the effect. Isn't it amazing? Okay, that's it for this video. I will post the source code of this project to GitHub and attach it to the description of the video. I will also add some channel links that helped me a lot in this section. Bye bye.